Well, hello, beautiful artisans. Welcome to Echo Art with Carmella-T. You know, today is one of those days, it just flew. And it's kind of late getting this video out, but I'd rather get it out tonight than wait another day. So with that, I welcome everyone who is new to the channel. Thank you for jumping on board. We create with all recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies. And if you are coming back, thank you so much for coming back. I love your comments, your suggestions. They keep us all going. And you know, I'm looking for your suggestions again. And it's going to be in this way. As you know, my heart, first I want to say my heart really goes out to everybody out in California. I mean, the devastation, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, all the years that I've watched the different fires and things going on there, I've never seen anything quite like this. So I hope that I'm grateful to see that there's so much networking going on out there. I mean, they were even talking about people sharing their homes and what resources that they have. So that's really wonderful, and that's what it's about, right? Is sharing and being there for each other. So with that said, it's quite early in the game, so I didn't find anything, but I did a little research trying to find a place where if we make something like we did for North Carolina and for Florida, that we can send out some items there. And I had a number of viewers who shared with me that they sent that they had donated certain things and that they had. So with that, we can do that again. And when I find a good address, right now, the Red Cross is setting up, and maybe they will set up a hub where we can send things out there. So with that, we've got a number of projects I want to update you on today. And so I'm having a cup of coffee late because I worked straight through on a project and I'm really parched. And but I'm going to share some things with you. First, I want to answer a question from a viewer who said, so I believe she was looking at our last project of mixing the Boro Sashiko with the fabric yo-yos, and she was asking, hey, how come you didn't fold the edges? I gotta tell you, I love this question, and I love it because for years now, it's the question that is asked first and foremost. And the reason it is because traditional, when you're piecing, doing piecework, right, for traditional patchwork quilting, you're folding your edges and you're doing a back-to-back stitch, right? You're folding. So, and I've done that. I should show you my pieces again on traditional quilting I've done. Now, so that's totally, like, you can do that. You can do that. Now, however, I think the question, what people are asking is folding. What they mean is, can I fold the patch as I'm putting it on top of this patch, as I'm putting it on top of this patch? So when you do that folding like that, let's say you're building a Boro piece, you're using, you're inspired in using the Boro building technique. What happens is it creates another layer. And at sections, let's say like right here, let's say you fold this because you don't want the raw edges. And let's say then you fold the piece you're putting on top of it. So when you do that at the intersection here of these two pieces, you're going to get two extra layers. So when you're hand sewing, it can really wear on your hands, unless you're going to stay right in the top layer surface for as a method or technique on whatever you're doing. However, you want to get the patches sewn to the base. So to answer this question, oh, and the other thing I want to say, This question is so prominent that in my book, at the end of the book for common questions, that's right at the top. It's right up there. But to answer it, it's optional. Let me put it that way. It's totally optional. Now, back in 1400s, 15, 16, up to the 1800s, which is what I base my method, my techniques, or my inspiration of techniques on, because I don't make authentic pieces. I don't consider them authentic. If they're made in the 1400s and up to the 1800s, that's authentic in Japan, right? Now, the stitching, a couple of things. Way back then, there were, how should I say this? So there's no hard and fast rules for Boro, for creating Boro. Your Sashiko stitching is what brings it together and makes a Boro piece, right? But back then, okay, they may have been putting one patch on a torn piece of fabric. But because actually what was happening back then is the cotton pieces were so thin and of poor quality that they would use a number of patches. They would use a number of pieces of scrap fabrics, of cottons, and kind of stack them so you get your stacking effect. Now, folding them, that's optional. And but leaving the edges raw, you'll see that in many of the authentic pieces. So the fraying that the viewer was also asking about, it's actually an intricate part of the aesthetics of a Boro piece. As I create, I love the fraying. Now, to minimize the fraying, your stitching that you do automatically here minimizes it. It minimizes it. Now, if you want to get those fabric adhesives or whatever they are to minimize, that's an option too. But you always want to, if you're selling your piece, let people know that you've got that on there. But the authentic pieces, right, that they made like centuries ago, have held up for centuries with raw edges and the stitching. The stitching works because as you're going through, you can see maybe you need to do a back stitch, so you do a back stitch. Now, and if you're doing horizontal and vertical, it's just really covering that entire piece. Now, hand stitching conceptually, it mocks, or the sewing machine actually mocks your hand stitching. The sewing machine, yes, it reinforces your stitches, making them tighter and stronger and whatnot, but it's the same concept. So that's why this works. And so with that, I wanted to answer that question. So this is my take on it. I have done some pieces where on certain parts of the project, I will fold the edge, but I don't go all through my projects like that anymore. And the reason is it's too hard on my sewing on the hands, and it bunches up. It will bunch up in different intersections of your layout. However, I always advise artisans to, get a piece of fabric, try it out, see how it looks, see how it's moving with your Sashiko stitching, see how it feels, and if this is a piece that you really, really like. And that is what I would do, because it's optional. So with that said, what I want to do is update you. Now I have to drink this coffee a little bit because I did get totally parched. And thank you so much for being with me and having a coffee with me. So with that, I'm going to get this hat. So the hat, for those of you who are following me on the hat, this hat is not, it's like just about done. It's like very, very, it's so done that I'm sharing it. So I want to share with you that I was showing you, for those of you interested in creating your own Boro Sashiko hat, I was showing you when you fold the hat like this, there's still a piece I have to stitch there, and I left it like that because I want to show you something. When you fold the hat like this, okay, I'm going to pull this down. You remember this part of the hat? It was kind of coming up like that. We were folding it, and we're like, okay, that will tell you if the brim is even or not going around. So I added this patch right here. I added it. So I'm just going to put it in place now. So I haven't completed sewing it, but I added it because I wanted to show you. So see, here it is here, and it's not sewn here, but look, you see it's making it, this is going to be perfectly even. So this is the reason I left it like that, is I wanted to show you before you sew it, you can test it. See if it's going to be even. You can test it. You don't have to go in and sew the whole thing together and then find out, oh my gosh, it's still not the way I want it. So anyway, that piece is going to be sewn completely. I'm going to put just a few more stitches of machine stitching on this hat, and then I'm going to do a lining, and then it's going to be done. I love this hat. I love this part of it especially. So look, this hat's going to be absolutely adorable. We'll turn it this way where it's sewn, or we'll get the worn part of it. That's the part I really, really, really like. Right here, see that worn? That's just, I just love it. So anyway, it's a size large. It's 23 inch diameter. So, you know, fold it like that. Measure from here to here. If you get 12, it's 24-inch diameter. You get 11, it's 22. That tells you, okay? And then from your very top, your crown, down to your brim, you want about at least 7.5 to 8 inches. And depending on what you want. So anyway, with that, I'm going to put this one down. I just wanted to share that with you. And so I went to the grocery. So we're going to get to the project that we're going to start today in a few minutes. But I went to the grocery the other day, and a friend of mine asked me, she's like, I was wearing the granny square hat. And those hats, people love, love, love those hats. So she asked for one in earth tone. So, and she didn't want a heavyweight, warm hat. She just wants it to kind of work inside, near the doors, keep the coolness to a minimum on her. So now, so far, I'm really excited about this project. And this is separate, and I'll share with you as I'm doing it. However, these are the yarn, lightweight yarns I found. So I found white because she's saying earth tone. So right off the bat, I know I want a lighter color that's going to give a little contrast somewhere. So these are my earth tones. This is like a beautiful gray brown. That's a gray brown. It's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. And it's lightweight. It's not a lot of it. That's all I have of that. And this one is it's a nice darker brown, so that's a nice. And this is a lighter gray. So you see the colors right here? Okay, those are the earth tones. And then there's a black, and this is going to be gorgeous. So we got the classic black and white, we've got the gray, the light brown, and a brown. Now, how am I going to design the granny square hat? I'm not sure yet. But when I make the granny squares, I'll share them with you. So that's a project I'm going to be sharing. So, and I want to kind of get that done because we're going to be focusing heavily on this next Boro Sashiko project. Okay. Some of you are saying, Carmella, why on earth are you wearing your utility apron or a utility apron? Because that's what we're making. So this can be a utility apron, it can be a wall piece, it can be a throw. It depends what you want it to be. We can start out with 40 by 40 or 44 by 44. I want to start out with 44, well, yeah, I guess 44 by 42. I could do 40 by 40 even. But it's going to be in that range. Let's put it that way. Because with the utility apron, I want the back to be a little open. So, or I want it to be able to if the person is smaller, to be able to cross over. So I'm fitting it really to my size, and I kind of leave it just like, I always make it just a little bigger because I like that comfort level. So with that, what am I going to use for a base and what am I going to use for straps? This is a towel. This is 100% soft cotton, beautiful, beautiful vintage. Had a rip in it. Okay, I don't know if you can see the rip, but oh, it's up here more. But it is, you can see a little bit discolored, probably from bleach, but it's an older towel, but it's soft and so comfy. This is so comfy. So anyway, that's what I'm going to end up making. But as we do our project together, we're all going to be working on the same base. Well, at least close to the same base. If you're following me, you can get a sheet. Now, I'm not using this one. I just want to show you. There's a difference between sheets. And see if I can find one to talk to you about. Well, I'm gonna, let's see, I guess I can't. I can't get the sheet that I'm thinking of. However, I will explain to you, and I know you'll understand. There are sheets that are very, very thin. And then there are sheets that are kind of medium weight and they're kind of crispy. You know, I call it kind of crispy. And then there's sheets that are a little heavier. So the crispy or a little heavier, in my opinion, work best for a base, for something you're going to make, whether it be a quilt, a wall hanging, or a utility apron, whatever it is. The layers make a difference in when you're stitching your patches onto the base. Makes a big difference in the movement. You will see if you're, and we're going to talk about the needle and thread for those of you who are not familiar in a minute. If the needle is, if the fabric is too thin, your needle will put a hole right through it every single time you go through it. And you risk creating wider gaps and actual rips if the fabric is too thin. So I really highly advise scout out in your thrift shop a higher, little bit medium to heavier weight sheet. 100% cotton works best. So this is a good weight on this one, and you still get the movement with it. It's lovely. Now I'm not using this one. I want to scout out a what shall I say? Maybe like a white, blue, pink, a solid color, solid. So that's that. Now, a couple things before I share the fabrics, and this is crazy. I took the drawer out. I took it out because those fabrics are going to stay right in the drawer and I can tuck it in at night. But I feel I'm going to use so many of those. Like, I just love, so many of these were gifted to me by a few different artists at the Milton Artist Guild this summer. Or, I don't think it was this, yeah, I guess it was. Time is going by so fast, I can't even, it was this just shortly, not too long ago it seemed to me, but I love those fabrics. So we're going to go over those. Now, if you're following, and you're like, well, Carmella, I don't know, I'm brand new to the channel, I don't know what needle to use. So you use needles. Now, there's a couple things. We're creating Boro inspired pieces. Now, there are people out there who teach intricately beautiful Sashiko stitching, and they're like, get your Sashiko needle. Now, I do have Sashiko needles, and I say this every single time. They are so sharp. But by the time, I mean, I use them because they go beautifully through. But a lot of times before I'm done at the end of the day, there's at least 1 or 2 Band-Aids on my hand, or one of my hands. It's going to happen because they're so sharp. But with that, there is very sophisticated instruction. So I use the free-form Sashiko stitching, the basic running stitch. Now, with that said, a lot of you know I will use different types of embroidery stitches like the French knot or the blanket stitch or the seed stitching. And just like we did here, this is the seed stitching for our beautiful little sunflower. In the middle are seed stitches. So I love the seed stitch. I just do. It's just so therapeutic to do that seed stitch. I can't even explain it. So anyway, if you have any questions on any of these stitches, please let me know. I'll be happy to do a video just on the stitch. So with that said, what I typically do, because I am creating with blends, because they're all scrap fabrics, they're gifted or they're thrifted, they're used in some way. I do try to gravitate towards more cottons or organics, but if I have a blend, then I have a blend. And with the blends, you will learn, you will see, you will experience that they have rubber, you know, maybe the spandex in them, or they have nanoplastics. You'll notice the difference. You notice, boom, right off the bat. But better, in my opinion, it's only my opinion, to incorporate them into a project, because those particular types of fabrics take longer to break down in a landfill than the others. So if we're extending their use, better for it. So, and some of them are very pretty, and you know, if we can use them, that's how I think about it. Now with that, so with that said, yes, you can get the Sashiko needles, because the Sashiko needle will, if you look at the eye here, I'm just going to show you. Sashiko needles, they're made special, and the eye of the Sashiko needle, it will accommodate a Sashiko thread. Or what's comparable is what I use. Look, I'm almost out of this. This is called lacy crochet threads. That's what these are. They are not Sashiko threads. They are lacy crochet threads. I do have a few Sashiko threads. I found them at the thrift shop. I think I've shared them with you. It's just crazy. I actually have some. I'd like to get more and focus on some very specific projects using them with the Sashiko needle. However, this is what I use. And I have, like, as you know, probably 2 dozen of these up on the shelf. So, lacy crochet threads, they're always at the thrift shop, at least here in Vermont. No matter which thrift shop I go to, there they are. And an embroidery needle. An embroidery needle will give you an eye. Now, you don't want the eye too big, because if you're using a needle with a huge eye, that wideness will, first of all, it will cause resistance for you to push through your fabrics. And so you want to use a thinner, and they have all different size of embroidery needles you can find at your local hobby shop. So with that, that's what I do there. Now the scissors, so I went on using regular scissors for absolutely years. And then my son gifted me with these. These are Pekin scissors. So they're special little scissors. And if you want to get like the fraying or little edges, those are perfect scissors. These are perfect. So anyway, again, thrift shop, you can find them there, or you can find, they're not too expensive, these small ones. So you can spend a lot on scissors. I don't know if you guys know, but seriously, I've seen scissors 20, 30, 50 bucks. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. So I'm going to share with you. I'm going to bring this drawer up here. So this drawer. So you have the base. So to prepare for our project, for our sewing, you need a base. So you need like a sheet or some kind of light cotton fabric, like that. You can have the size to your sizing. You can leave it the size of the sheet. You can cut it down to 40 by 40 inches, 44 by 44 inches. So I'm going to decide after I do my scouting and see what I find on my piece, and I'll let you know. So with that, you're like, well, Carmella, how big are the patches going to be? Now, again, with Boro Sashiko inspired pieces that I make, you can do this a number of ways. Some people rip all of their pieces. No, I'm serious. They rip. Like, I've done it too. You can get in this habit. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. You take the piece of fabric, whatever it is. Let's see. Let's use one that's cut here. And I'm going to take the scissors. I just want to show you what I mean. So I'm just going to take this. So you take your piece of fabric, and people typically will do something like that. You go with the grain. Don't go against the grain. You won't be able to rip it. But if you go with the grain, and then you get the rip. Again, I can hear this lady out there saying, oh my God, she just caused fraying. That's the aesthetic that you're working with. That's gorgeous. And you gotta figure in the 1500s, they weren't having perfect cutting machines, okay? They probably did do a lot of the ripping by hand like that. And at that time, and there's people on YouTube, I'm going to seek out some of these people, they actually take the threads out of the fabrics and reuse those threads. Oh, I just seriously love that. We're going to do that at some point, but I want to connect with some of the YouTubers who are doing it. So anyway, with that, that's so you can rip your pieces, and I do that. You'll see me starting to do that at different points in the project. I don't know why. Maybe I just suddenly start doing it. But if I go through my bin and I pick up a piece like this, and I just love this. Look at that piece. Someone gifted me with this, and one of the artists. So I'm going to go through the stuff here, but this is, look at this piece closely. You see how it's cut? Okay, so I actually found a pair of scissors at the thrift shop with the serrated teeth on it like that. But I like that, so you can leave that as part of your aesthetic, you know? And because what we're doing, the whole concept is we're using what we have in front of us. You know, you figure if we didn't have all the tools, let's say we were in a situation where we didn't have the tools, very specific, or the lighting or anything, and we needed to create garments, we needed to do this, and we were in a very humble abode, we'd want to know how to use these fabrics, okay? So with that said, I want to give you an idea of the size of the fabrics, and so you have the thread and the needle. So I don't have my measure in front of me. I'm not quite sure where it went, but it took off somewhere. It's probably underneath this. So the sizes, I typically will use a size about like this. This is actually about 8 by 8, but that's probably as large as I'll go in a piece if I'm using between 4 by 4 up to 8 by 8. I won't divert necessarily. Now, with that said, I'm just kind of giving you a bunch of detail because I know some people are new and I want to help you prepare, because you do not need to cover the entire piece with all patches. You can have, and this is what I want to do too, is make some pieces where there's islands of Boro Sashiko designs. So independent designs within that one piece. So you can do it like that. You can create your pieces away from the base. For example, we could take this piece, maybe we'll do a few like this, just to give people an idea. But ultimately, you're sewing the piece on to your base. However, with that said, you can, if you wanted to do some stacking or some very specific Sashiko stitching, or you wanted something special on the patch, you can do that. You can do that first, and you can do it when it's on the base. Okay, so just giving you ideas. So about 8 by 8, we'll use a typical patch. Look at this. Look at these designs. I just kind of want to show you some of the designs that we have here. Look at these designs. This is going to be an absolutely seriously gorgeous piece. I'm not kidding you. No matter what it is, if it's a wall piece, if it's a quilt throw, or if it's a utility apron. Maybe I make it into a skirt. We'll see. Okay. So here's some more of the designs. So we went over the sizes. Now we have also, look, denim. I mix denim in all the time with my fabrics. These are mostly cottons that I'm showing you right now. These are cottons. But look at the designs. These are gifted to me. And look at this. Look at how they just pop. This is going to be gorgeous. And look, more butterflies. Didn't we just have butterflies here? Right here. We could do a whole theme based with butterflies if we wanted. Here's more flowers. There's a bunch of these, and look, they're all serrated. They're all cuts with the serration there. I believe that's the correct word, hopefully. So the drawer is chock full of more beautiful, look, you've seen these before. Some of you will remember, because this is an unusually geo, just beautiful piece, geo design. And we have a lot of floral because I gravitate towards the floral. I love the flowers. And look, now something else that we're going to do that I'm super excited about, and we're going to do it very, very soon. I'm going to be messing around with it in between off camera, but I want to draw and do some paintings and then use the Sashiko stitching to adorn it, to add to it, to create a Boro piece. We're going to do that. So look, here's another, look at this, another butterfly. You've seen these pieces. I've held them up to you before. But in this piece of the fish, this may find a home on this particular project. But the whole drawer, now there's pieces at the bottom. Oh, look what I found. It's one of my pouches. But here's another one that has kind of a tropical design. We use that in some of our other projects. These are at the bottom. So these have been around for a little while. So anyway, these are the fabrics. Now we're going to use, and people are out there who are brand new saying, well, Carmella, there's no rhyme or reason. But that is the rhyme, right? That's the poetry. I mean, not to get too metaphoric, but that is the poetry of creating a Boro. Is you are mixing designs. You're taking designs that you typically, okay, look, you typically would not, you wouldn't go into the thrift shop. You wouldn't go into, if you went into a fabric store, let's say, and you're picking out something for your client, you wouldn't think of this. You would not think of this because the geos are going to be away. They're not going to be near the butterflies necessarily. You're not going to think of them. But when you go into the thrift shop or someone's gifting you with them, they're gifting you with their themes. They did a theme of flowers. They did themes of butterflies, and they're gifting you with that. And you're taking the flowers. Okay, flowers and butterflies sometimes do go together, but you're taking the plaids. You're taking the colors, the butterflies, look, ladybugs. You're taking the skeletons. You're taking things that you typically wouldn't put together, and you're putting them together. And you're making a masterpiece. So anyway, with that, so yeah, so for sizes for your patches, whether you cut them or they're already cut, or serrated or whatever they are, size about 4 by 4 inches to about 8 by 8 inches if you want to give yourself a range. Shapes. If you're cutting them out and you're not working from a scrap bin, look, you want them long, you want them square, you want them, they don't need to be perfectly cut. Maybe like this even, you know what I mean? Like with curves, all different sizes and shapes. Now the crazy quilt, which is something that we should work on too, is more prone to have very different crazy shapes of fabrics in them. With the Boro inspired pieces, typically, or even in the authentic, we see more of like squares and rectangles, but different sizes. That's the key. You want them different sizes because that's what's going to have your, like for example, here's one here, here's a little green patch, and then let's say we have our pink. So you see the pink is much larger, and we're going to overlap that with this. So we're going to be overlapping patches, and we're going to be underlapping, we're going to be stacking, we're going to be doing all kinds of wonderful things to create design. And where a lot of people are kind of looking for very specific traditional symmetry, we're gonna come out of that. We're gonna go past the parameters on that a little bit. So with that said, oh look, here's the tape measure after all that's said and done. But so look, this piece, let me show you, because this piece is like, there's a few pieces here just to give you an idea. This piece, we used this actually on the purse, the bag. So look, this measures about 11. This is 11. It's a nice long narrow piece. So pieces like this are really cool to have in your project. And then there's this piece. Look, it's ripped. It's not serrated or, you know, cut with scissors. So this piece is, that is about 6. That's about 6 by 6. So just kind of start off with different sizes. And look, this is a really good piece to use. This was my other little pile. This is a very good with the curve. I love that. And these are just my scraps that I had saved, and there's more cutting there. So with that, I hope that that gives you an idea on how to prepare. Now today's Friday, and I was hoping to, I wanted to start this tomorrow. We may start it Sunday because this video needs to be out there at least a day, getting into people's, not their boxes, but kind of alerting them that this is out, the most recent out there, and then they can have at least a day to prepare. So with that, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm really excited about this. If you want to make a utility apron with me, we'll make it together. I'll share how. Make it just like that other one I made. I will share this one too, and it's super duper easy. I keep it easy because I feel that, yeah, if people want to make something, it shouldn't really be too complicated for us to make it, especially for hand stitching. So anyway, with that, I hope that you have an absolutely beautiful evening, and we'll see you in a day.